For those who crave solitude and want to escape humanity, we've got your guide to the boondocks. I scoured the nation to find the perfect off-the-grid towns where you're more likely to encounter a moose than a barista. We're talking one-stoplight towns in the middle of BFE, where nightlife means sitting on the porch to watch the sun go down, and traffic refers to the occasional passing cloud. These are the kinds of towns where people move to get away from it all and still manage to avoid their neighbors. So pack your bags, leave your phone behind, and get ready to lose all cell reception. Here are the top 10 most secluded towns in America where you can live out your reclusive dreams, getting away from it all, escaping the madness, dropping off the grid. For some, the allure of secluded towns is real. As much as I love the convenience of 24-hour drive-thrus and same-day delivery, sometimes a girl just needs space, a lot of space. That's why places like Kremlin, Montana appeal to me. With a population of 100 that doubles as volunteer firefighters, Kremlin is about as off the beaten path as it gets. The closest city is 45 minutes away, and if you're hankering for a Big Mac, it's a 2-hour trek. But with miles of open space and not a traffic light in sight, Kremlin is a little slice of paradise for those seeking solitude. Equally enticing is St. Paul Island, Alaska, smack dab in the middle of the Bering Sea. Reachable only by plane, and only when the weather allows. St. Paul's 500 residents live a life of rustic isolation. And with seafood straight from the docks and wildlife at every turn, who needs Whole Foods or reality TV? Not me, at least not all the time. While secluded towns aren't for everyone, they fill a deep-seated need to disconnect from the chaos and reconnect with nature's quiet. And in today's hyper-connected world, places that offer an escape from the madness, even if just for a little while, are more precious than ever. The road to becoming America's most off-the-grid towns was long and winding. Believe me, these places didn't end up in the middle of nowhere by accident. No, their seclusion was hard-earned through a series of poor life decisions and questionable urban planning. Take Kremlin, Montana, for example. This place has a grand total of 100 residents and is 45 minutes from the nearest store or gas station. The town square is a mere 282 acres, just big enough for Bubba to take his truck for a spin after one too many whiskeys at the local watering hole. The only amenities are a schoolhouse and a fire station that doubles as a post office. Nothing says we value education, quite like making school children dodge fire trucks to get their mail. Or consider St. Paul, Alaska, a frigid outpost in the middle of the Bering Sea, accessible only by precarious bushplane. The 500 hardy souls who call this place home must have a strange definition of paradise. Though to be fair, if you're trying to escape a shady past or dodge an IRS audit, St. Paul seems ideal. Just don't expect to stream Netflix or get Amazon deliveries. Yellow Pine, Idaho breaks my own rules with a population of just 32, but hey, they have lots of cabins in the woods. So I'm told the population swells to a whopping 100 or so. The nearest hint of civilization is 3 hours away, so residents basically go full-on wilderness survival mode. I can only assume that people move here to fulfill some strange, Unabomber chic lifestyle fantasy. At least the views are nice. Off the grid, living clearly isn't for the faint of heart. So the next time you're feeling crowded in by 21st century life, just remember, there's always Yellow Pine. All you need is a sturdy pair of boots, a plaid shirt, and the desire to escape humanity. Paradise found. So you want to drop off the grid completely, do you? I can't say I blame you. The incessant buzzing of smartphones, the 24-hour news cycle, traffic jams that turn a 10-minute drive into an hour-long ordeal. Modern life has a way of slowly driving a person mad. If you're looking for places so far removed from civilization, you'll feel like you've traveled back in time. These isolated towns are for you. But a word of warning, life on the fringe isn't for the faint of heart. Yellow Pine, Idaho, population 32 hardy souls, is nestled in the Payette National Forest. The nearest hint of a town is 3 hours away, so if you're hankering for a Big Mac or need to pick up more toilet paper, you're out of luck. Living here is basically like permanent camping, without amenities like the internet or TV to distract you from the gorgeous surroundings. If you have a shady history you're trying to escape, Yellow Pine is ideal. No one will ever find you here. St. Paul Island, Alaska, is smack in the middle of the Bering Sea, a rough bush plane ride away from the nearest community. With only 500 residents, everyone knows your name and your business. And with no roads, your only options for getting around are hiking, riding horses, or taking a seaplane. Summers are brief, winters are long, and you'll drive a snowmobile more than a car. Cell service is non-existent, so if you get into trouble, you're on your own. Stay heckin'. Washington can only be reached by ferry, float plane, or a long hike. The 100 or so inhabitants enjoy complete solitude in the North Cascades, with the closest town a treacherous 3 hours away. If the natural beauty of the place isn't enough, the total lack of roads, cars, and amenities will remind you just how far from civilized society you've ventured. For a true escape from the modern world, you can't get much more off the grid than Stehekin. Living in one of these off-the-grid hamlets isn't for the faint of heart, or the Wi-Fi addicted. I should know, I've called one of these nowheresvilles home for the past 15 years. Out here in East Jesus, nowhere, life moves at an ambling pace. The closest thing we have to rush hour is when the one stoplight in town changes from yellow to red. Most days I wake up with the sun and go to bed when the generator runs out of gas. As for entertainment, Wednesday night bingo at the Elks Lodge is considered a wild night on the town. You want convenience? Hope you like driving. The nearest grocery store is 45 minutes away. And don't even think about postmating dinner or hailing an Uber. Out here, 2-day shipping means you'll get your package sometime before the next ice age. Some people can't handle the isolation, the quiet, the lack of choices. Me, I relish being off the grid. No nosy neighbors, no traffic jams, no obnoxious YouTube ads assaulting me every time I pick up my phone. Just peace, quiet, and living life on my own terms. Sure, living in Nowheresville isn't for most folks, but for those of us who make it work, life in these little hamlets dotted across America's hinterlands is pretty darn perfect. Quirky, eccentric, aggravating at times, you bet. Would I trade it for life in the real world? Not on your life. Out here in East Jesus, nowhere is right where I belong. Call me a misanthrope, but sometimes I just want to get away from it all. The noise, the crowds, the incessant chatter of social media. When the urge strikes to flee civilization, there are a few delightfully detached towns in the U.S. that fit the bill. One such outpost is St. Paul Island, a speck in the middle of the Bering Sea, with a population of around 500 hardy souls. The only way in or out is by prop plane, and the weather frequently conspires to keep visitors trapped for days. A friend who knew a girl from there said living in St. Paul is like being in a real-life episode of Lost. I can imagine becoming so isolated that Gilligan's Island starts to seem aspirational. Or consider Dalhart, Texas, a town of 8,000 that's a whopping 80 miles from the nearest Walmart. The locals mostly keep to themselves and value their privacy and independence. As a wise man once said, good fences make good neighbors. The residents of Dalhart seem to have taken that to heart. For those who really want to get off the grid, there's always Kremlin, Montana. This farming community of 100 people lacks basic amenities like a grocery store or gas station. The nearest signs of civilization are 45 minutes away in Big Sandy, and a big city excursion to Great Falls is a solid 2 hours of driving. The town is so small the fire station doubles as the post office. Just imagine old Sparky the fire chief delivering your mail after extinguishing your kitchen fire because you have no idea how to cook or wire a house. While these secluded towns may not be for everyone, for a certain breed of person who craves solitude, they are a welcome refuge from the madness of the crowd. If you're looking to drop off the radar for a while, any of these outposts will suit you just fine. Just don't expect much in the way of creature comforts or a bustling social scene. For many, that's precisely the point. And there you have it, folks. My personal picks for the top 10 off-the-grid towns in America, where you can escape the madness of modern life. Pack up the family truckster, put the cell phones on airplane mode, fill up the gas tank, and get ready to drop off the grid for a spell in one of these charming little slices of solitude. Just do me a favor, and don't tell all your friends about these hidden gems. We introverts need our space, if you know what I mean. I'm off to fill out my change of address forms and renew my passport. The open road beckons. Catch you on the flip side in Nowheresville.